Hello, all you fillies and colts out there. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, back with another My Little Pony Friendship is Magic episode review. This time it's Season 9, the final season's Episode 5, titled The Point of No Return, which is actually a far more ominous episode title than is actually in the content of the story, as we actually see Derpy Who's making a delivery to Twilight School of Friendship. I don't care if she has some other official name, she will always be Derpy to me, for now and forever. And naturally, she comes in with her usual crash landing right out front. And apparently this is a delivery for from Celestia to Twilight. And with a message coming in very on cue, we come to find out this is all of her old belongings from her dorm room at Celestia's school that they finally managed to pack up, which I completely forgot about that, that she had her own dorm room, and it actually had a significant amount of stuff in it. And Twilight's kind of taken off guard because she thought she got everything. And she goes through everyone. I love the allusion to G1 with her G1 series Star Swirl, the bearded action figure. But then we come to find out a library book is also amongst her possessions. A library book that is very, very long overdue. And we get a bit of a flashback where the head librarian, Dusty Pages, talked with Twilight about the fact that, she's the best book returner of all, at least in the Canterlot Library, and the specific book that she had was one that various ponies wanted to check out, so she made her promise, just try to you'll turn it in on time so everybody else can get a good read in on it. So it just keeps twisting the knife of how badly Twilight kind of hecked up in this situation, as naturally Twilight freaks out over the fact that it's just very overdue. So she goes to Canterlot to return it at the library, but she's very unsure of going in because she doesn't really want to be recognized, but Twilight's just, Spike is just like, well, you're Twilight, Princess of Friendship, being in a library. I'm pretty sure it's your natural habitat up until this point. So she does her best to hide. She goes in to try to return it. Naturally, everyone notices her, especially when she says she's not actually trying to check out a book, which is just like blasphemy, sacrilege. And Twilight also wants to locate Dusty Pages just to kind of talk with her about the fact that she's had this book out for so long. That's the one thing that I actually have to wonder about. Just how long has it actually been? Because I keep looking for a good timeline or an indication for how many years have passed, but I'm not actually sure. I very much doubt it's like real world time, like as many seasons has been as many years, because it's the Cutie Mark Crusaders. They've, stayed the same age up until this point, so I very much doubt it's that same kind of way. But Twilight also realizes that with her returning this book with the late fee, it's probably an absurdly large charge at this point as well. And when Spike just finally gets fed up with Twilight's whining at this point, I guess I should say, because Spike is very much the proxy for the audience. He's just like, give me that, I'm just gonna return it. And the Philly at the counter is actually pretty like, okay, yeah, that happens from time to time. And she looks through the indexes for unreturned books, but once she realizes just how long it's been, she actually tells them that they have to go to, what was her name? Folio? Something. The mayor in charge of basically long overdue books. I swear to God, I just read her name like not that long ago, and it completely disappeared from my mind. but they end up having to go underground to the basement because apparently it's because of the shame. But Spike's just like, look, let's just get this done and just move on. Only for them to find out that, the person in charge is out to lunch. But when Spike says they should just come back another day, Twilight doesn't want to, leave it be for any longer. She wants to immediately get this done and get it over with. So they go to various lunch spots looking for Folio. Looking everywhere and anywhere, with even Spike being mistaken for a waiter at one point. We also see Twilight run into Moon Dancer, of all people. So, we get a nice little return to form there, because it's just like, it's always nice to just see various characters here and there, just on certain occasions, just like a little bit of a return. And we also see that she's actually friends with the very same, pony that Twilight is actually looking for. And once they talk about Dusty Pages, we come to find out that Dusty Pages actually left not that long ago. So, there's actually some kind of rumor that it was because of the lateness of the book that, Dusty Pages ultimately left, which just consumes Twilight with even more guilt over the whole situation. So she confronts Spike about the situation. She wants to, immediately go in and try to, just link up with Dusty Pages and just basically try to apologize for the whole situation. She doesn't want to leave this lingering for any longer. So they go racing off to Dusty Pages' home just to kind of find her and just, at least apologize. She's more concerned about just getting this all settled between the two of them more than the book itself at this point. Although she's still kind of like, maybe Dusty Pages will smooth things over for her perfect record of book returns. But they come to find out that Dusty Pages has actually not lived in that house for a long time, and her mail has actually been piling up this entire time. So, and the guy very rudely says that she moved to Silver something, so they end up going all over to various places with the name Silver in their name. But ultimately they go to so many different places that it just leaves one place left, this retirement home, that Twilight laments the fact that there's no books, so Dusty Pages has to be completely miserable at this place. But they do find out that she is in fact living there, but when they knock on her door, she's out for the most part. So they go, looking around to see if they can find some information, and we find out that Dusty Pages has, got this very packed schedule where she's just all over the place. She's never having a dull moment, basically. And while Spike just thinks that, okay, maybe she's having a great time, Twilight thinks she's just trying to mask how he feels about this place and the fact that she can no longer be in a library. And, they get the same result when they were looking for, just the silver whatever before. Constantly they're just barely missing Dusty Pages at every turn, until they eventually do find her jamming out with her band. And the fact that she's a lot older than she previously looked, it looks like at least 10 years, or at least 5 have passed since the last time she encountered Twilight. Because, the events of when she borrowed that book was right before she left for, Ponyville. So a good significant amount of time has to have passed. And when they finally get around to talking to Dusty Pages, Twilight does her best to apologize because she never returned the book. And, Dusty Page is taken off guard that it was Twilight who never returned the book. But once they try to, talk to Dusty Pages about possibly getting her job back, Dusty Pages is having none of it. She doesn't want any part of it, and she doesn't want to return to the library, which naturally takes Twilight off guard. But Spike tells her, just talk to Dusty Pages. You just surprised her at first. If you just sit down with her and talk with her, maybe we'll get the answers you're looking for. With Twilight also kind of wanting to at least smooth things over to keep her perfect record. So we end up seeing a paintball version of a food fight going on, and she does end up talking with Dusty Pages, who is decked out in this combat gear. And they want to sit down. She wants to sit down just for a proper discussion, where Dusty Pages does recount the fact that, once the book was lost, she no longer had the perfection of having a perfect record within her library. And that ended up actually being okay with her. It forced her to accept that perfection is a very fleeting dream, and it caused her to want to go out into the world and take more risks, find more things that she can fail at, because once you fail at something, you end up learning more than when you might have succeeded, which is a very deep proverb right there and then. And we even see that when the book that Twilight's been carrying around gets splattered with some yellow fruit, Dusty Page is just like, oh, you can still read it, it's yellow, smudging, it won't destroy the ink. And when Twilight's just like, how can you say that? It's ruined. Dusty Page is like, haven't you even read this book? Do you even know what the title of it is? And when Twilight finally manages to read it, it's about perfection and how it is an unachievable objective, which is just hilarious in and of itself, and the sheer irony of it. So it's all about just not trying your best to be perfect. It's not wrong to try, it's wrong to be consumed by this. So we end up going back to First Folio, who I finally remembered the name of, and once she tallies up the entirety of what Twilight owes to the library, we find out it's only 28 bits because it only goes within the span of a month. They don't really tell people that because people would just be taking stuff out all the time, and at that point you might as well just buy a book. So it's a nice little moment where it's just like, yeah, the consequences aren't really that deep. Although they do ultimately says Twilight's picture for, perfect book returns has to be taken down. And at first Twilight isn't really quite down with that. She accepts the fact that she has to accept her own imperfections. And, once Twilight, says that she will return the book to the shelf, First Folio is just like, well, we already replaced it long ago, which is what libraries do. Just because, a book's out, after a certain point, they're just going to be like, well, it's not coming back, we're just going to replace it. It's the library, it receives a good amount of funding. And Spike suggests that they just keep it, it'll serve as a good reminder for imperfection. And First Folio is just like, are you sure it's stained? And Twilight's just like, well, it's a good reminder of the folly of perfection, which is a great bookend to this entire episode. A nice lesson episode. I know people are have long since been tired of the constant repetition of lessons that these ponies have to learn time and time again, but honestly, I don't know about you, but I'm a dumb motherfucker. Sometimes I really need lessons hammered into me time and time again. I have to be reminded of certain things and accept certain things that I am not great at. I don't know about you, but I need constant reminders of certain things, or else I'll just relapse into my old patterns. It's really hard not to do that. And once you make a true change like that, it completely changes your worldview, but it doesn't mean you won't slip back into old habits. And I love this idea of just how perfection shouldn't be something you get consumed by. If you manage to do something perfectly, fine, that's great. But if you manage to have imperfections, you need to accept that and just basically move on. You, again, you learn more from your imperfections than you do from your perfections. You get really interesting stuff, you learn new things, you grow, you adapt, and you get pretty good results sometimes. So, very nice stuff, very great episode, at least from my perspective. I love Spike in this episode too. He's always just such a rational, reasonable person. But hey, tell me your thoughts on this episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you not much care for it? Did you feel that it was a good, episode for the final season? How do you feel about that? So tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video, feel free to leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike and tell me what I did wrong in the comment section below so I might better myself for future videos. And hey, how about subscribing and hitting the bell icon so that you never miss another My Little Pony episode review up until the very last episode. And if you want to find me on social media, feel free to Google Duuz-Diz-Din. I am everywhere for better or for worse. And until the next video, just remember that it's your imperfections that truly make you special. Until the next time, people.